Hello and welcome back. Here we are. We're a little bit behind on Parable of the Sower. We took some time. I gave you guys a break after writing big papers and getting yourselves introduced to the new papers, but we need to get caught up on Parable of the Sower. So let's talk about chapters 15 and 16, and later in the week, we'll be talking about chapters 17 through 19. We're in the part of the book where a lot of things are starting to happen really fast. We're a little more than halfway through. Lauren is on the road, and she's already got two people to travel with from her neighborhood. She's got Harry and she's got Zara. They take a few days to assess. They take a few days to discuss what everything's going to mean. Let's talk about a little bit about Harry and Zara. Harry Bolter came from a family that was a little bit more like Lauren's. He had a little bit more privilege. I think he was dating Joan. He was the one that you'd think Lauren would more readily relate to between Harry and Zara, because they both came from families, traditional families with parents, siblings, and he had a girlfriend, she had a boyfriend. They're kind of similar in the position they held in the community, teenagers in the community. And then there's Zara. Zara was not like Lauren or Harry. She did not have the same kind of privilege. She was one of Richard Moss's wives. And Lauren didn't really know the backstory of where Richard Moss got his wives, but she is young. She is beautiful, considered hot, right? She's kind of like a hot chick. And therefore, Lauren kind of resented her and had her own presumptions about what she was going to be like. So that's the group, right? Harry and Zara helped each other out of the neighborhood. Harry seems to have a concussion and they take a break to let Harry heal from his concussion. Trade stories. Lauren confirms that Richard is dead, that they confirm that they saw Corey and her brothers die as they're escaping from the fire. So they all take time to mourn. They all take time to assess what they're going to do and figure out what the next step is going to be. Another group went to Glendale. I love the shout outs to the places in the neighborhood in Southern California that we know. And Lauren's got to make a decision, right? She knows that she's going to go north, and she knows that she's got to be careful with who she trusts, right? So while they're waiting, they make the choice to, while they're recovering, they trade some information, right? First thing, one of the things that happens while they're relaxing, while they're waiting, Zara goes away and Zara comes back, and she's got a t-shirt full of peaches. And Lauren, who immediately understands and suspects that Zara stole those peaches, asks Zara, where did you get those peaches? And were they stolen? And Zara responds, basically, mind your own business and eat your peaches, right? Zara thinking Lauren is this weird preacher's kid, and I'm about to get a lecture about theft, right? Later, when Lauren is talking about her plan to go north, Harry says, I'll come with you. Because they both have some cash, they can help each other, they can support each other, and Zara says, well, like, okay, I guess you guys have fun, and Lauren says, no, you come with us, and Zara's like, well, I have no cash, I have nothing to offer you, and Lauren's like, that's not true, you have skills, you have lived out here on the street. So it comes out that Richard actually purchased Zara from her mother when she was a teenager. That Zara grew up on the streets. Zara grew up outside of one of those walled off communities, and ran errands for her drug addict mother, committed petty theft all through her childhood, and and eventually was purchased by Richard Moss as one of his wives. And as a result, Zara knows what it's like to live on the streets. Zara knows what's required. Zara knows who to trust, who not to trust, where they can get food when times are tough. And Lauren says, you have a skill that I don't have. You know what it's like to live out here. Um, and everybody who lives out here has something to teach me. So a few really interesting things here. Number one, this is a story of trust, right? Lauren, all throughout book one, she's kind of learning who she can trust, who she cannot trust. You know, Keith's story is about trust. He trusted the wrong people. Lauren trusted the wrong people a few different times, right? And Lauren has to figure out who she can trust, not just because it's a dangerous world, because she has hyper empathy syndrome, and that makes her vulnerable. But also who can teach her things, right? Another major theme that's constantly unfolding in this book is, who are our teachers, right? Lauren has had so many teachers, people like her, people not like her, right? And here's this person who's seemingly the opposite of her, Zara, right, who kind of grew up on the streets, kind of has the like tramp vibe, right? She's a young hot wife of a man who purchased her, right? But this girl has street smarts, right? And Lauren understands, you have something to teach me. And the girl, Zara, likewise says, you're not how I expected you to be. I thought you were going to be some judgy preacher's kid. The other thing that's really interesting here is the beginnings of the formation of a personal economy. So remember when I asked you to compare the three communities of Olivar, Los Angeles, and the Robledo cul-de-sac, and the three economies that they have, right? In Los Angeles, it's an economy of like crime and skill trade. You know, you scratch my back, I'll scratch yours, unless you try to take mint from me or have something that I want, and then I'll kill you, right? In Los Angeles, or in Robledo, it was people sharing their skills, sharing their resources. In Olivar, it was a big corporate entity coming to give people jobs, but also sort of enslave them and create debt. So we think, we're not really sure. But here we have Harry and Lauren saying, I have some cash, you have some cash, we can work together. And Zara saying, well, I have nothing to offer. And Lauren be like, no, you do have something to offer, right? You have skills, you have knowledge, right? And so what are they all agreeing on? That they all need to have something to offer each other, something to offer the group for them to work together, right? A few other, so that's really interesting, the formation of like these group rules that happen really quickly, or they happen gradually, almost unacknowledged, right? A few other interesting things that happen in chapter 15. They go to a store. We see kind of like a big Walmart type store where they go to buy supplies. We have another one of those supply lists that I pointed out. It's basically like a Walmart, but the guards have like big automatic weapons, and you have to be searched, and you have to be proven to have cash to shop there. I bought salt, a small tube of honey, the cheapest of dried foods, oats, fruit, nut, bean, flour, lentils, plus a little bit of dried beef, all that I thought Zara and I could carry. And I brought more water and a few odd items, water purification tablets just in case, and sunblocker, which even Zara and I would need, and some stuff for insect bites, an ointment Dad used for muscle aches. We would have plenty of those. I bought more toilet paper, tampons, and a lip balm. I bought myself new notebooks, 2 more pens, an expensive supply of ammunition for the 45. I felt better once I had that. I bought 3 cheap multi-purpose sleep bags. I love these supply lists from a writing perspective. It's so thoughtful of Octavia Butler, because that's how poverty works. That's how poverty feels. And it's also how being on the road feels, right? It's how backpacking feels. When you are, there's a saying in the backpacking world, ounces equals pounds and pounds equals pain. Every item you have is something that you have to carry on your back. That makes every item precious. But there are so many things we need to survive, right? Which is why we need people to survive. We need skills to survive. We need cash to survive. We need trust to survive, right? So in the next book, the next chapter, also about trust, right? In the next chapter, they're walking on the freeway. There's a few lines in the beginning of the chapter. Lauren says, we've been on the road and there's two things I learned. Number one, walking hurts, because walking does hurt, right? They've joined this like big river of people, thousands and thousands of people just walking along the 5 freeway. Can you imagine just walking along the 5 freeway with a river of people? Unfathomable how much that would hurt. I don't know how many of you guys have like driven north on the 5, but woo. Number two, when you get hungry, you're gonna have, you got to deal with that hunger. You can't just eat openly on the road, because that makes you a target. That makes you have food. Is this the chapter where somebody gets robbed on the road? Hold on, let me check. They know that they can trust nobody on the road, and they have to suck on a rock if they're getting hungry, because that they can't eat food openly. It makes them a target. So as they're going, we've realized that Lauren has more in common with Zara, and now we see that Lauren has less in common with Harry than we thought, right? They go up into the hills, they make a fire for the night, and Zara says, do not trust anybody. Do not trust anybody. No one's allowed to share our fire. Anybody could be coming to try and trick you, whether it's an old man who wants to roast his potato, a mother and her daughter. She tells them, me and my mother used to pull scams all the time. Don't trust anybody. It's just us. We are the only ones we can trust. And Harry takes issue with that. Harry is a little bit naive, right? He's still living in the neighborhood. He's like, we couldn't have just let that guy roast his potato. And likewise, to kind of prove Zara's point, a couple of creepy guys come up and just kind of leer at them, right? And Lauren has to scare them away using her gun. By the way, I haven't even mentioned the fact that she's traveling as a man, right? She's traveling as a man, pretending to be Zara's boyfriend, and they're a mixed race group, which also makes them more of a target, right? So there's all these reasons why they have to be double and triple on their guard. And Harry's like, no, let's be nice. And Zara's like, no, let's not be nice. And Lauren's like, I'm going to listen to Zara on this one, because Zara knows what it's like to be out here. This problem gets compounded even further. While they're sleeping, they get attacked. And Lauren wakes up with a man on top of her, and she has to bash someone's brains in. She has to stab somebody. There's a tussle, and luckily the 3 of them come out okay, even though Lauren dies. Lauren dies with one of the people that she kills. And this does a bunch of different things. Number one, it reveals her hyperempathy syndrome to Harry and Zara. And it puts them in a situation just like the situation Lauren was in when her father shot that dog, and Lauren had to shoot that dog herself to put it out of her misery, as much for its own good as for hers, right? So when she comes back from being dead and finds out that the guy that had the rock bashed into the back of his head is still alive, she's like, give me the gun, we got to kill him. And Harry's like, what? He's still back in the neighborhood, right? Zara's like the street smart one that's like, yep, let's do it, come on, we got to do what we got to do. And Harry's like, no, we can't kill that guy. What if he's going to be okay? This is unethical, this is wrong. And, it's easy for me, it's easy for us to like sit in this position and be like, come on, Harry, just kill the guy. What Octavia Butler is asking us to do is put ourselves in this situation, right? We all live relatively cozy lives. Hopefully we don't have to kill someone on a regular basis or think about these problems. But imagine going from, living in the cozy world of your bed and then finding yourself living in the street where it's kill or be killed. And you've incapacitated a guy and he's almost dead, but he's not quite dead. And you have the choice to leave him there to die or kill him yourself. And if you leave him there to die, you're going to feel his pain. Could you do what Lauren is asking you to do? Could you do it? Honestly, I don't know if I could. I don't know if I could. I understand Harry's position, right? I understand Harry having trouble with the kill or be killed aspect of the decision, right? And that's what Octavia Butler is asking us to do. So Lauren, when she says, give me the gun, give me the gun. And Harry says, no, I'm not going to give you the gun. And it's also his fault that he fell asleep and that's why they were attacked, right? So Harry is just like misfiring on all, so to speak, on all fronts. And so Lauren's like, fine. And she flips out her blade. She cuts the guy's throat and she's like, strip him and let's carry their bodies down to the bushes. And Harry's just like, what are you talking about? Because, like I said, everything is precious, right? These people might have money. These people might have weapons. They might have food. This is now resources, right? So now they're developing this economy even more, right? You kill somebody, it's like a video game. Well, what was on the body? What's in the drop? And what do you think about that? Like what Octavia Butler is asking us to question the ethics of this situation, right? If you live in a world where it's kill or be killed, can you handle it, right? So later, after they strip the bodies, they take the goods, they put the bodies down in the bushes. Harry he's like, he takes Lauren through all of her Bible lessons. He's like, well, what about thou shalt not kill? What about thou shalt not steal? And Lauren just keeps saying over and over, I'm going to do what I have to do to survive. And then she has to tell them about her hyper-empathy syndrome, right? Which makes Harry even more suspicious, right? He's like, I thought I knew you, right? Harry is naive. Harry is still living in the neighborhood, right? But would we be better than him in that situation? Who knows? Zara, on the other hand, her street smarts, her background, she understands. When Lauren tells her how she got hyperempathy syndrome, Zara recalls seeing mothers just like Lauren's who became addicted to the very drug that Lauren's mother was addicted to that gave her hyperempathy syndrome. And Zara says, ain't nothing wrong with you, girl. Ain't nothing wrong with you. And that is the story of trust. That is the story of trust that Octavia Butler is asking us to deal with. The story of trust, the story of like, how far will you go to survive? What does it mean in a kill or be killed world? And what do we agree to in our private economies, right? The chapter ends with Harry asking Lauren, I need to know something about you that is not a lie. I feel like everything about you is a lie. You are not some preacher's kid who's religious. You have hyper-empathy syndrome. You are possibly a killer. I need to know something about you that's real. What are you writing? And Lauren's like, oh, you want to know what I'm writing? The little religion that I have that needs recruits. Sorry. This is just my favorite part of the book, when finally she kind of gets to be out in the world and she's starting to test all of her theories. She's starting to test all of these things that she has been teaching herself, learning, and navigating the dangerous world that she's agreed to be in. So, Octavia Butler asks us to think about who is valuable, right? How do we develop trust? In a world without laws, what laws do we create for ourselves, right? So Lauren and Harry and Zara are living in a lawless world, right? But they have to develop a code. What is the code that they develop? Is murder okay? It doesn't seem like it. Is self-defense okay? Yes. Is theft okay? No. Is taking from someone who tried to take from you and you had to kill them, is that okay? Yes. Do you need to have something to offer in this group? Yes, it seems like. So anyways, that's it for chapter 15 and 16. I'm going to do chapter 17 and 19 later this week because we got a little behind. Keep up on the reading. Look out for other things. All right, I'll see you next time.